And there are multiple new beginnings, through your Christian life. There's the big one when you first come to Christ, and that's a 180, turning completely around from which way you're going to the correct way. There are times when at becoming a Christian, you're just accepting that like I'm gonna be tempted, and I'm gonna go through some stuff.
Down here, and I just kind of like didn't do much of that anymore because I was just tired of it, And back home, I never would have been able to do that because that's what I was known for. All my friends were in that circle, So it was just like, but if I had never moved and I never made that decision, I never would have like learned to play the piano and then now get to be on the worship team.
Some people, well, that's gotta go. And like anything else that like you get personal.
Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and seeing the new has come. Happy New Year's, Jesus freaks!
Woo!
Hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year's. 2024 is here, whether we like it or not.
It's crazy.
Getting into today, we're gonna do what nobody was expecting, our highs and lows.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Alright, my high was I went to Passion this week, Wednesday to Friday. Super cool. Very cool. 18 to 25-year-olds. You can go, and it's awesome. It was great. There was an 80-foot cross there.
Yep.
It was pretty long. There was also a cross in Trash Cheap. There was a lot of crosses. It was very cross-focused. So, Passion. It was awesome.
Low?
I have to start school tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Hopefully.
Jade?
Hi, I had a good Christmas, good New Year's. Got to go to Disney, so that was fun. A low is that I have to start up my college classes tomorrow, and I'm not very ready for that, but it's the last semester, so gotta push through.
Get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. My high is I went to my grandma's this weekend. Had fun. All my siblings. Actually, our parents kicked us out, but that's different.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
My low is, and I think I beat you all because I started school this week, so.
Yeah, you win.
I win.
Boom. My high, probably just everything that's happened so far. I don't have a low. My year has just been amazing so far.
The whole 7 days.
Normally you're going back to school and you're like, I hate this. I was actually like, man, I'm excited. I haven't seen my friends in like 2.5 weeks since school ended.
Well, good for you.
Everything has been going great. I don't think I've had anything bad happen to me.
The joy of the
so
Lord
far.
is upon him.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That's great. Love that. And I thought since the new year, I think a good topic would be new beginnings. So we're just going to get into that. I have a verse from 2 Corinthians 5, what is it, 17?
17, yeah.
Yeah. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and seeing the new has come. So how does coming to Christ make you new?
Ooh.
I feel like a lot of things like change because before it almost like you don't have really any motivation to be like changing yourself. You just kind of go with, whatever makes you happy. The whole world is just you do you. If it makes you happy, go with it. Do what your feelings say. And, coming to Christ really gives you that like, oh, like I'm not just here for no reason. Like I actually have a purpose now. I have this standard and this person, this God I'm representing, the people who maybe never, seen what God or being a Christian is like before, and I'm giving them, the first, taste of what that's like. And it's just, it has responsibilities, it has a peace that comes with it, it has good things that comes with it, just a lot of things change.
I I think it's like a new perspective on your life and the people around you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like kind of just this building. It's like it's a completely new perspective, like you said, and you've got a new purpose. I think too.
Yeah.
You know, I always that's one of like whenever I see people who don't believe in God or even people with other religions, sort of. I'm just like, what is your like purpose? Like, what is driving you to get up in the morning? And what's driving you to like do what you want to do in life? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? I think whenever you're in Christ, right, you have as part of His kingdom, you have like there's work to be done. And I don't know, it's a purpose.
Yeah.
I think another way to look at it from like you're literally becoming a new person. Like God doesn't look at you. I mean, He never looked at you from your sin, but you becoming a new creation in Jesus, like when you accept Him into your life, you're looked at as not what you were before.
Mm-hmm.
Even though people in your life will still like kind of look at you the same way, I think again, perspective thing, like you're not the same as you were yesterday, type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What do new beginnings mean to you?
It's a good one.
I think we kind of talked about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think like from a practical standpoint, what does it look like to have a new beginning? And I think we're kind of talking about right now like a salvation kind of new beginning. You're gonna see like kind of a 180, I guess you could say. There's gonna be my life was heading in this direction. I was doing these sorts of things. I was not on the straight and narrow, the path that leads to life, and then you're gonna just onto that path, and like it's gonna seem like Paul. That's whenever you were like talking about new beginnings. I was like, Paul, best new beginning in the world, right? He was literally on his way to Damascus to kill Christians. Jesus intervened. He was saved. Now he was on his way to Damascus to spread the gospel. Total, complete change, like as different as it could get.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I'm thinking a new beginning.
Yeah.
It's just like
And there are multiple new beginnings, through your Christian life. There's the big
Yeah.
one when, you first come to Christ, and that's a 180, turning completely around from which way you're going to the correct way. There are times when, at becoming a Christian, you're just accepting that, like, I'm going to be tempted, and I'm going to go through some stuff. And so there will be other points where you can feel yourself drifting away, and you have small, like, 45-degree turns where you have to be like, I need to go back this way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's cutting off a friendship. Maybe that's, hey, this thing is tempting me and causing me to sin. I've got to get rid of it, Maybe it's like, hey, I need to fast from my phone for like a week, get myself back on track. All these things, it's not just like one point. It's a lot. There's a lot of different things that's going to happen through your Christian life, and a lot of different new beginnings you're going to have. Could even just be like moving to a new place. That's a huge new beginning, And that doesn't necessarily have to do with like your Christian life and something you were dealing with. It's just like being in this new, having this fresh start.
Yeah.
New people you're talking to, new people, you're setting an example for, and getting to know. And, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like signing a contract. Like, there's a lot that comes with your Christian life. There's
Yeah.
benefits to you, and then there's things you're going to have to do as well. It's not just a one-sided thing. It's not just a get-out-of-hell-free card,
Yeah.
You flash it, hey, I'm a Christian, I prayed the thing. Like, I'm not seeing that in your life. You can't just flash, like, your driver's license. It's a lot more than that. It's a contract.
What do you guys think is things that stop you from creating your new beginning, or to like leaning into your new beginnings from like personal experiences? Because my first thought is like people remembering who you were.
Yeah.
Because if you think of like just a random example, like a job, and you go to a new job and you're like, okay, I'm gonna like try really hard to like make friends or like
Right.
be social type thing. But there's somebody who already knows you and like, oh, that's the quiet girl. That she
Yeah.
doesn't actually like anybody. She
Trying
just
to
she
reinvent
thinks she's
yourself.
better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Don't be friends with her. So like that hinders your ability to be better
Mm-hmm.
and like really lean into your new beginning of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that takes, maybe taking a break for a minute, like a week, get yourself together, because a lot of the times people really notice that change if it's like a day thing, but sometimes it takes like taking a break, maybe for like a week, not hanging out with the same friends or something, to just, collect yourself and be like, okay, like, this is how I'm going to have to go about this. Like, these are some things I need to change. Maybe these are some people I don't really need to be as close with anymore.
Yeah. That's funny that you mentioned that. I remember, like, I'm from a real small town in West Virginia, and so it was like everybody knew who you were in kindergarten, and they knew who your parents were in kindergarten, and they knew who your grandparents were like in kindergarten, and so it's just like everyone already knows you. Without ever meeting you, they know exactly. Like when I say, hey, I'm Parker Muffa, they're like, choo! No, I know his dad, I know his dad's dad, right? And so I remember when I moved down here, I was like, this is so weird, because no one has any clue who I am. Like, I can be whoever I want to be and do whatever I want to do, and people will think, oh, wow, that's just Parker. But you're right, I never could have, like, a lot of things in my life changed when I moved. Like, I mean, just an easy example, I used to be, like, real big, like, I was a baseball player, and I played basketball, I was a big, like, sports guy, and I moved down here, and I just kind of, like, didn't do much of that anymore, just because I was just tired of it, And back home, I never would have been able to do that, because that's what I was known
That's
for.
who
All
you
my
were,
friends were in
yeah.
that circle, yeah. So it was just like, but if I had never moved and I never made that decision, I never would have, like, learned to play the piano, and then now get to be on the worship team and do stuff like that.
Times when big changes are happening or people like expect change, like that's a really easy time. I know over the summer, you're not in school. This is just my mentality. Like, I try to open myself up, like, really, like, wide at, like, camp, NYC, all these things that are happening. Because, over the summer, like, if there's some sins and stuff you need to get rid of, that's a really easy time for God to speak to you. Because you're not around the same people. You're not around the same people you are in school. You're kind of alone a little bit more. And it's a lot easier to go through changes. So I always try to, like, make sure the summer, I'm like, okay, like,
And you're not
I've
stuck
really,
in a rut.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're not stuck in like, I'm in the same friend group, like I'm seeing the same exact people every single day. It's like over the summer, it's a really easy time to let God cleanse you and like take out some things from your life and set you up to go back into school with a different mentality. So I always make it a really big priority over the summer to like make sure I'm really open to hearing God speak and really spending time in his words and trying to see like what's your plan for me this next school year, as I'm going through, this kind of wind down time to reflect upon, what happened in the school year.
For sure.
I think for like new beginnings and stuff, the more like I think about it, already like thinking ahead of like after like high school and stuff, thinking ahead to like, well, I'm gonna go from like high school and then I'm gonna transition from high school to college. So then it's gonna be like a whole new environment. There's gonna be a whole bunch of like new stuff, like there's gonna be people I'm not even gonna know, and then there's gonna be all sorts of like, depending on which school I go to, but either way, either school I go to, there's gonna still be like struggles and temptations and all that, especially in college. So that's gonna be a big change. And then also realizing that I need to like start over and find a new friend group, and just like start new, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like-
that can definitely be daunting, but I think if you go into it with the right mindset, like, I get to make new friends type
Yeah.
thing, like,
I get
this
to
is
make that
an
new
experience
beginning for
I get
myself.
to
Yeah.
do. It's not like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, like, what happens if I don't make any friends, what if nobody likes me type
Yeah.
thing. Then you get, like, into, like, almost a depressive state, and then
Yeah.
and then that's when you, like, don't go out and make friends, because you're like, oh my gosh, nobody likes me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were just saying, like, like our the people we're in relationships with make it hard for us to change when we need to change because we're stuck with what they think about us. So whenever you find yourself in like that new beginning, like in a new school or when you move, to like knowing that you're wanting to make certain changes in your life and then investing in relationships that are going to not only help you make that change, but allow you to make future changes, like accountability partners, and like surrounding yourself by with Christ-centered people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, that's a new beginnings factory you're creating right there. Like you're just going to grow with each other and just.
Yeah.
That's a technical theological term.
What does that mean?
Wow.
New beginning soup right there.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard that before.
Well-
I might have to use that though.
Right?
New beginning soup.
Going into school, you're gonna just have to deal with the.
That's going to be the name of my first book. Right there.
I don't know how that's gonna be spelled. But
It's
okay.
an
I would read it.
audiobook.
Wow. It's just not gonna have a name on Spotify. It's just gonna say Parker's book.
Right?
You're gonna start at hell. Welcome
intro
to.
is- Goodness. All right. So, new beginnings often mean coming from a pretty bad place. How should we respond when someone seemingly too far gone comes to Christ?
This is my
Did the-
question.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's like I was thinking about this from Paul's perspective. So Paul, radically saved, and all the Christians, like all the Christian people, Peter, the disciples, they knew about this Saul guy. They were like, he's taking us out. We're not a fan. Stay away from him. And so he gets saved. And there's a couple of people, but I think specifically it's like Ananias and a guy named Barnabas, who when Saul is saved, he comes to Damascus and he meets them, and they're sort of his introduction into the Christian life. And so, thinking about new beginnings, you have a friend who's been living the wrong way. They get radically changed, saved. They come to church. People in your town and your school, whatever, they know about this person. They know what they've been doing. Now they're saved. There's going to be raised eyebrows.
Yeah.
Right? What are we thinking? And so Ananias and this Barnabas guy were sort of the mission that God gave them and the mission that they, like what they were doing for Paul and for God's whole plan was introducing him, saying, even though they were even worried, like Ananias says somewhere, Lord, Ananias answers, I have heard many reports about this man and all the harm he has done to your holy people in Jerusalem. He's like, this is not the guy. You got the wrong. Like, Saul is not it. But God is like, no, this is who I need. This is my chosen instrument to proclaim my name to the Gentiles. And so Ananias was like, all right. And so he introduced them to the disciples. He introduced them to the faith. They mentored him. They discipled him. And that's what you got to do. When someone's coming from that bad place, you can even be like on your guard. Like Ananias was well aware. He was well aware of what he had done.
Yeah.
And he
Comes with a caution.
Yeah,
and
he was open to the idea of, but whenever God was like, this is my guy, Ananias was like, all right, I'll do
when you
what
see the
do."
fruits start popping
Right.
out,
And it
you
helped
can tell.
fertilize.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his job. And I don't know, I just thought that was
Yeah.
really.
I feel like the thought of like somebody being too far gone really like it stems from like our cancel culture nowadays. Well, one of my favorite, I don't know his name, but he's a Christian dude, and he'll like go out and he'll literally stand there with a microphone and he'll have people ask him questions. I saw a video of him the other day. Somebody was like, do you have friends that have committed murder or like these like horrible sins you think about? He's like, yeah, I do. And they're like, well, why do you hang out with them? And he was like, look, you have the wrong mentality. Like, we're all sinners. Why should he hang out with me? I've stolen before. I've had greed. I've sinned before. Why should he be my friend? Jesus looks at us and he's like, you're all sinners. Like, there's not one sin that's worse than another. You are all in sin. We don't deserve any sort of grace. Even if the only real big sin you've ever committed is just like you were selfish at one point and you've lived a really good life and you've been a really good Christian, like you don't deserve to go to heaven. You never deserve that. If we look into it, all of us deserve to go to hell in the end. So, like, looking at someone and thinking, like, oh, their sin is, too bad. God would never forgive that. That's not true. Like, God's grace is just amazing. It's undescribable how big it is. Because in the end, we truly don't deserve anything but hell. And so, looking at somebody else and being like, oh, well, your sin is worse than mine. It's like, no, it's not. Our righteousness and our good works is like dirty rags before the Lord. We'll never be, on that level while we're here on earth.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rant there, but
All good. I feel like kind of went over this a little bit, but how should life change after being saved?
Or your actions.
yeah.
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're hanging around, if you're hanging around certain people, well, that's gotta go. And like anything else that like you get a personal conviction for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to like put the answer because like. I don't
Well,
know.
it's like obviously you try not to sin.
Yeah,
Right,
but like
yeah.
you know you're going to anyway, which also
Yeah.
can tie into like new beginnings because you know like your walk with Christ. You're not as soon as you get like saved and whatever, you're not gonna like you're not
Yeah.
what's that word? You're not whatever that word is. You're not.
I don't.
No, it's that word where you're like. It's like you're not gonna like. It's when it's like. When you're not like.
Shackled.
No, it's that word. It's that word where like. You're not. You're not gonna like. It's not gonna affect you. It's that one. I can't think of it.
It's
but
like not your mentality. Like,
it's not
I
like
don't
it's like when you become Christian, you get saved, right? It's not like sin's not gonna come at you.
yeah.
But I can't think of the
You're
word.
you're accepting the fact that like the devil's gonna tempt you.
You're not
Like
gonna,
you're a Christian. Like you're gonna
not gonna
be.
shatter
You're
you.
not- yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
get what you're trying to
repellent.
say.
Yeah.
You're not repellent. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
English is hard sometimes. It's fine.
You've got like
All
that
the
sort
time.
of, like yeah, there's gonna be temptation and there's
Yeah.
gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got sort of that hedge of protection.
Yeah.
that's been prayed
I
around
tell a
you,
lot of people like this is the mentality you have, but you should be very careful because like yeah, you're gonna sin, but you also don't need to be like, oh, well, I'm gonna sin, so who cares? Just
Yeah.
go about my day living the same exact way. Like no. Like you should be consistently trying to not sin, and that should be your goal, is to not sin, to become more like Christ. But you shouldn't be like really discouraged when you sin, because nobody's perfect. It's not like you get saved and all of a sudden you're like just immediately like never gonna deal with temptation and stuff again, because like you're gonna deal with a lot of stuff. Like the devil's not just gonna let you go about sharing the gospel with people,
Yeah.
getting more people to go to Christ. Like no, that's not what he wants. That's not what he's gonna allow. And he's also okay with a lukewarm Christian. Like I said, like their mentality is, oh, well, I'm gonna sin, so I'll go about my day. Like that's just his like type of Christian. One that's not gonna be sharing the gospel. One's just going about living their day. They're just showing the get out of hell free card. Cause like when you're a lukewarm Christian like that, like that's exactly what the devil wants. And so I always tell people like, yeah, have that mentality of like, I'm not just gonna stop sinning. I'm not perfect, but just be careful not to get into the like not caring anymore, and just starting to like, I'm gonna sin today. Oh well,
Yeah.
like
You can't
this is my one sin for the day.
Right. You can't self-criticize, but you have to self-evaluate.
Yeah. And it's not.
That's
It's
a clean sentence.
yeah. That was a very clean sentence. It's not like you're constantly pressuring yourself.
That's a write down in the notebook.
It's not pressing it,
You know,
pressing out the water from the water bottle.
Okay.
It's letting God fill the water bottle up. Boom.
That was back.
Camp illustration. Tying it back in. Perfect. It's a perfect illustration. I love that one. I've shared that with so many people at this point.
I like this question. How do new beginnings help us grow in our relationship with Christ?
I feel like each one, like it turns you more towards the line you should be drawing from yourself. If this is me where I'm standing right now, heaven's over that way. It's this line, like you're not going to go in a perfect line. You're going to drift off a little bit. But those new beginnings, when God pricks you and is like, hey, like this is something you need to deal with, and you're letting God evaluate you and put you under the microscope and say, like these are things I need to stop. Like that turn, maybe sometimes God will take people out of your life. Like, I've had friends, really good friends, but they, they were living that life of, oh, I'm going to sin, so whatever, I'll go about it. They started partying and stuff. Like, God literally took them out of my life. Like, they left my school, and I was like, why? Like, why is this happening to me? And God's like, well, because, you wouldn't leave. And so I'm stepping in because I need you to point yourself towards that. And each one of those new beginnings is just pointing you directly on the path.
Yeah.
Because, this life right now, this is just like one, I like to describe it as this. If you listen to a whole orchestra, your life right now is like one note on one instrument. And then there's all these other instruments that are just going to be playing infinitely. Like that one note, like that has nothing to do with how big your life is going to be after that. Because people like to say, like, I saw this person born and then they died. Like, I can see the start and the end. Like, I feel like they don't understand. Like, it's not like the start and the end. It's the start and then you go somewhere else and there is no end. Like, we're gonna be alive for eternity. And, you shouldn't get into, like, how do I want to spend my life here on earth? Because that's affecting, like, where you're going to go for eternity. And it's so easy to fall into sin. Because if we're being honest, sin is fun. Like, it's pleasurable. But,
it's our natural
it's our natural tendency. It's how we're born. You don't have to teach a 2-year-old, to take things from other kids, to be greedy, to lie, My 5-year-old brother keeps taking candy out of the candy drawer and eating it behind the couch. We keep telling him not to do that. We didn't have to teach him how to do that. None of us ever taught him to do that. We're having to teach him not to because that's a natural tendency from the moment we're born.
Yeah.
We're like a broken mirror. We're still reflecting pieces of what we were before and what God is and his creativity and how we're, continuing to show in the world, but we're broken.
Yeah.
And like we're not going to reflect it perfectly.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more new beginnings you have and the more you keep aiming yourself towards God, the more you're still taking those broken pieces and at least reflecting a little bit of that. Because it's really easy to, like, when you turn a mirror away, it's not going to reflect something from this direction anymore. You have to make sure you're aimed in that direction.
Yeah. Hebrews 6:1 is about that.
Yeah.
It's about, like, moving past elementary teachings, like, constantly growing closer and closer. That's what new beginnings do, right? They bring us closer.
Yeah.
They change us. 21 days of prayer and fasting, our church is doing that right now. Churches all over the nation are doing that right now. But that's the purpose of it. It's a new beginning. It's putting yourself, setting aside time for extra prayer and to fast, and to disconnect from the world and connect to God, so that you can grow closer and create that new, beginning, that new thing. God's doing a new thing, new wineskins.
There's another rant for you guys. I'm feeling it today. I'm feeling it.
Next question. Even when we have a new beginning, how should we not let the past get to us? I actually kind of like this because I wanted to bring up, like, sometimes yourself makes it hard to really lean into your new beginning because you're like, sometimes you think of yourself as you haven't changed at all.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm still that person from back then, or whatever happened, and you stay stuck in the past. You're like, I want it to be this way, and it's not.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about this. It's like, new beginnings is like the good connotation.
Mm-hmm.
But change can sometimes be the bad connotation. But they kind of mean the same thing.
We're talking about the same exact thing. Yeah.
So... yeah, because when you say change, people are like, I don't like change. But new beginnings is like, oh, this is a new beginning, guys. It's like what all the parents say to the children when they move. It's going to be a new beginning.
It's a new
This new school year, it's a new beginning.
God's doing a new thing in your life, man.
And I've seen this question go both ways. I've seen people be like, oh, man, like my sin was so bad. Like I still can't even comprehend this. And I'm like, hey, just like let it go. Like that's not you anymore. You've opened a new door. Like you've been forgiven. You still got some work to do. You got to keep climbing. You don't go from the valley to the mountain. It's not just shoot up. You still got to climb up. And you've got work to do, but that's not you anymore. You've been changed. But I've also seen I've had people come up to me and ask me, like, I was raised in a Christian home. I look at these people with, like, they were addicted to drugs and all of this, and, like, their testimony is so powerful. Like, I feel like my story's boring. I feel like it's not going to help people. And I'm like,
I prefer a boring story.
a lot of people with those stories of like, you know, being addicted and stuff, like that's really powerful. That pricks us in the moment. But if we're being honest, it doesn't really speak to a lot of us because a lot of us have never gone through that. It's a good way to get our attention, really powerful, like point us back on, you know, what in the end we're trying to accomplish. But people with testimonies of like, you know, I dealt with this little thing, you know, wasn't really that bad. Like that's something that really connects. It connects with a group of people, like that are maybe, you know, they struggled with that in the past, and that connects you to them. They're struggling with that now, that connects you to them, and it just connects to us on a deeper level than people with these huge, powerful testimonies.
Yeah.
That like a lot of us will never go through that. So there's a big difference, but
Do you want to pray us out?
I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the message we heard today for Pastor Sterling. Thank you for, you know, what we were talking about in this podcast. Help us to go through the, you know, weeks coming up. You know, we're starting the second semester of school, getting back into the roll of things. You know, all we have to do is go through, you know, what we went through in the first semester. Just do that one more time. We're back to the summer. And just help us as we go through the rest of the school year to be thinking about focusing ourselves, turning, you know, us as a broken mirror, still turning towards you and trying to reflect you and be more like you. And through as we go through, you know, what we're going to go through in the rest of the year, over the summer coming up, camps, you know, maybe friends are leaving our school, all these things help us to remember that, like, these are new beginnings. And, you know, with each thing we go to, we're, in the end, taking one more step towards you and heaven and where we're going for eternity. And, you know, the end goal, finishing the race. Just help us to think about that as we go through the rest of the week and the rest of the year. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time.